Nintendo's Zelda Breath of the Wild was the game that got me back into video games, and there are so many pieces of this game that go above and beyond a normal video game. But my question is, how are the economics in this video game? There are so many economics going on here. Are they consistent with good economics, or is this just too much of a fantasy world? Thinking about the economics of fictional worlds is a great way for us to stretch and test our economic thinking. So even if you're not interested in video games, I recommend you stick around to see the analysis and see the most realistic part of the Zelda economy. I'm Craig and welcome to Market Power, where we look at the power of markets and economics to shape our world. And once you understand that power, you're going to understand choices, consequences, and you'll be able to make changes in your community and in your personal life. We've talked about the video game economics before, like economics behind video game systems such as Stadia and Nintendo Switch, but we've never actually gone into a video game to look at the economics, and I'm excited to check it out here in Zelda. When you look at the map in Zelda, there are a couple of different regions, and there are exciting things about these in terms of economics because each one has a different set of factor endowments. Now, factor endowments are the resources you have available to produce goods, and you can see easily that you're going to have really big differences in what's available to produce in each of these areas. So if you go down to Lurelin Village, they're right there on the coast, and so you would expect their economy to have a lot of fish products. And then if you go over to the Gerudo Valley, maybe you realize that this is one of the only places where zap shrooms grow, and so you would expect to find those in their economy as well. So the factor endowments, that is the resources they have available, are influencing what these economies produce. Given the abundance of these resources, you wouldn't be surprised to find that they won't pay that high of a price to get more of those resources. For example, if you were to take a bass down to Lurelin Village and try to sell it, you're not going to get a very high price. Similarly, if you were to take a Hylian shroom over to the Gerudo Valley and sell it, you're not going to get a high price either because those kind of things are freely available in the economies. But let's see what happens when we take these items to a region where these resources are rare, Goron City. Surprisingly, when we offer to sell these things to the merchants in Goron City, they also don't pay a very high price. In fact, they pay the exact same price that you would get in Lurelin Village or Gerudo Valley. Now, you might say that the reason why they're not willing to pay a high price is because Gorons don't eat this kind of food, or they're not willing to sell this kind of food because it hasn't been available to them. But the same merchant is selling roasted bass and toasty Hylian shrooms. So clearly they think there's a market there, but they're not willing to pay anything. In fact, as you go around Hyrule, you're going to find that all merchants offer the exact same price for all goods no matter where they live. At first glance, this might seem unrealistic, but this is actually an example of the law of one price. The law of one price is pretty self-explanatory. It says that for any good, there should be just one price no matter where you are, but certain conditions have to hold. Why would there be just one price? Well, imagine you're Link, you're in Goron City, and you find out that Gorons are willing to pay a huge premium for fish. You could easily just travel down to Lurelin Village, grab some fish, and transport it back up to Goron City and sell it and get that premium. This is called arbitrage. If there are opportunities for arbitrage where you get a premium for supplying this good, then people are going to jump in and supply the good. And as the supply goes up, the price is going to go down until there are no more arbitrage opportunities left. And when do the arbitrage opportunities leave? When the prices are the same in the two places. And so you're only going to have one price for this good. So as you think about how this works, you can clearly see what conditions must hold for the law of one price to hold. First, there has to be free entry. There has to be people who can come in and supply the good. There can't be some monopoly over the good where no one else is allowed to supply it. Second, you need no trade frictions. There has to be a way that goods can flow between cities, so there's free movement of goods, and there are no trade costs. So do these conditions hold? First, free entry. Does this condition hold? Yeah, because we are living it. Like, we can go out there and we're allowed to buy and sell whatever we want. What about the second condition of no trade frictions? Well, we know there's free movement of goods because we bring this stuff all over the place. No one stops us. There's no customs agency that's blocking us from bringing in illegal goods. We're allowed to bring things all over Hyrule, so we know that one holds. What about trade costs? Trade costs would include anything from tariffs to transportation costs. We know there are no tariffs in Hyrule, but what about transportation costs? We see these merchants traveling between cities, and they go very slow. It seems like Link could give an advantage to different cities by being a really fast transportation service, because even on horseback he goes much faster, plus he can teleport to different shrines, giving him an advantage over other merchants. Unfortunately, Link is not the only potential merchant that can travel really quickly between cities. In fact, there are two merchants that can travel instantaneously between cities. There's Kilton, who's selling monster wares, and then there's Beetle, who can travel instantaneously to sell many of the same goods that Link is interested in selling. For the Hyrule economy to work, that must mean that Kilton and Beetle are arbitragers. That means as soon as there's a price discrepancy that arises, as soon as a price goes up in one location or a price goes down in the other, these guys can instantaneously take advantage of that discrepancy and bring the market back into equilibrium by buying in one place and selling in the other, thanks to their instantaneous travel. But there's one thing that I think is the most realistic part of the economy in Breath of the Wild, and it still deals with the law of one price. Think about the converse of the law of one price. If there is not free entry or there's not free movement of goods across regions, then we would expect there to be discrepancies in prices across regions. If you want to get some rest in Hyrule, you can go to an inn, and you see that there are some inns that offer you a low price, and there are some inns that offer you a high price, and they offer different services. Surprisingly, the most accurate economics in this game are found in Korok Forest. In the Deku Tree, there is a Korok that lets you stay the night for free. And this makes economic sense because there's no way for Link to take this bed and bring it somewhere else and sell it. Like, that night is available only to him. He can't offer it to anybody else. And so even though there are other villages that offer you hotels, they charge high prices. Deku Tree Inn is available for free because you can't trade it to anyone. The law of one price still holds because you can't move this thing anywhere else. I have two things for you to check out. I have a whole playlist about video game economics, mostly about video game systems. And then I have another video about how much vibranium costs in the MCU, which goes through this same idea of applying economics to a fictional world. Thanks for watching today. Be sure to subscribe, and we will see you next time.